What is going on, guys? Company here, and I'm going to be going over one of my favorite techniques in production, hands down. I implement this more than anything, and it's helped me develop a style for myself, which I think is incredibly important, which is tweaking and resampling. So let's dive right in. I've got this patch that I've made just for the purpose of this video. I will include this for you guys to download and mess with so you can kind of follow along and make the same kind of tweaks that I do. So normally with this technique, I will set up a audio channel and just get audio directly in from the source. So it won't be hitting any of the group processing or master processing. If you're into that, it'll just get the processing that's on the channel and print it exactly how you hear it. And in this case, we have a bit of OTT and saturation, which I put on while I was designing the patch. That's just how I like to sound design, with a little bit of beef. So let's just record arm the audio channel here and go ahead and hit record. So now we actually have a printed version of what this patch sounds like, and we can essentially move on and start making tweaks and get a different bounce of this sound that's a little bit different, and these sounds are all going to flow really well together. It's going to be very cohesive. Everything's going to sound the same, but different at the same time, if that makes sense. And this technique was really big for me because I used to try and mesh together a bunch of different presets or a bunch of different sounds I made from scratch, and I would have a really hard time getting them to communicate and flow really well. And I find this is one way of getting things to flow really well, is they're all kind of sourced from the same patch. So right off the bat, you can see I have everything grouped up here. You can actually go ahead and click this little floppy disk here, and it'll pop up your racks, and you can just save this as company sound, company sound 1. And again, this is why this is really important, because it's good to build a catalog of sounds for yourself like that, not only to use in projects in the future, but just to have at your disposal anytime. You never know when you're going to want to go back to a sound, or say I mess something up in the process of trying to tweak this. I still have that original version to revert to if I need to. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to follow this initial bass that I made with a shorter, kind of more like a yoink whoppy kind of bass. Sounds like a different language when I explain it like that, but we're going to follow that up with a long variation of this bass. So take note of which kind of parameters I'm going to move around and how it's going to affect the overall sound. So let's make a shorter, quick little high-pitched version of this bass. We're going to actually turn the octave up on oscillator B here. So let's listen to how this is going to affect the sound overall. Maybe apply a little bit of sync modulation. So you can see we already have a pretty cool little whop going here. We can actually just print this, and then we'll move on to the long bass. So immediately I'm going to lengthen the amount of this LFO and just pull this out. So let's bring the octave back down here. And then I'm going to also add some pitch mod to this. So you can kind of see how I'm already working left to right and arranging a sort of flow, downbeat, quick bass. We can add like a little reverb tail here. I'm just going to add a basic reverb and modulate this dry wet up from 0. And then cut it when the long bass starts. And let's swap out the wavetable here. I'm going to, on this bass, so let's get in and get really hands-on with this bass and move around a lot of stuff, and I'll kind of touch on my favorite parameters to move around. So let's pop in one of these monster wavetables. Let's look for something with not too much, like that is a bit too much content for me. I like this 7 one because there's kind of like a section here at the end that's very stable for frequency modulation. So something like this. And you can obviously change the amount of the warp mode. In this case, I'm going to keep it frequency modulation, but you could change it from bend to asim. And these kind of small tweaks are going to definitely change the timbre and tone of the sound, but it's all going to be cohesive. You're going to have a similar filtering or similar post-processing. So yeah, let's go ahead and move the sync amount around. And this doesn't have to be synced. You can obviously mess with any of these, and you're going to see very obvious results messing with things like the wavetable position and frequency modulation and filter cutoff of both filters. Like I have a flange filter here. Let's move the cutoff of this one down a bit. Let's modulate this up. So stuff like this, simple tweaks on the cutoff of the flange filter, and I have a complete different tone on this, but it's all going to be very cohesive. So let's print this. And let's hear what we got here in our little flow. So you can kind of see all the sounds are relatively similar, and once you're 50 resamplings deep, you kind of have your own little sample pack to mess with, and you can move these sounds over to your sample pack library and kind of drive home. Like there's this one sound, I think it's called the WAP. I've used this in like 8 of my tracks. I just like tuck it in or use it as an offbeat kind of thing. So doing stuff like this is really important for driving your sound home. It's amazing if you have something that's recognizable that people hear live and it's like, well, it sounds like a blank track because of this. And in my case, this kind of came naturally, but I've noticed how effective this is down the road to kind of drive home your sound. So hopefully this technique helps you guys not only like arranging a flow and a drop, but kind of to get a feel of like Serum itself and kind of which parameters are going to affect the sound in which sort of way, because the more comfortable you are with stuff like that, the easier it's going to be to design sounds in general. So I hope this helped you guys out. Cheers until next time, guys.